Hey, Salma. Hi. Oh my God. Um, wow. Yeah, Happy New Year and Happy New Month, everyone. I hope my audio is clear. Hey, welcome, Nuruddin and Dira Faline, welcome on board. Today I just want to talk about scholarship opportunities in 2022, and I'm hoping some people will still join that have questions about grad school. So, if you can hear me clearly, please you can give me a thumb up. Hi, Calvin. Good morning from here. Oh yeah, thank you so much, Summer. Good morning. How are you, sister? Good morning. Hi, Kevin from Togo. Yeah, good to have you here. So I think we're just gonna wait till 7 p.m. West African time, which is 10 a.m. Vancouver time, to start the show for today. Yep. Um, I think I just have to start. Please, we're just here to talk about scholarship and tips for 2022. There are several scholarships, so if you have questions, you can use the chat box, or I can also unmute you. Would be entertaining questions also from my YouTube followers. Thank you so much for being a part of Scholarship Cafe in 2021. I hope this year would grow more. Thank you, Mandisa from Zimbabwe. Joseph Omagode, hi, and Samsudin Raji, hi. Tijo Topamed, good evening, Prof. I'm not yet a professor from Ghana. I've applied to four schools in Canada so far. I'm just looking for the best, all the best in the new year. Gideon, I got the scholarship from the University of People. I got MSc actually through your link. Oh, congratulations, all the best, Gideon. So if you have questions, you can raise up your hand and you can drop into the chat box and we can entertain your questions. Thank you, Precious, for joining. Thank you for Nuruddin for joining. I'm also welcoming Nuruddin and Precious to Scholarship Cafe as our outreach advisor. We'll be doing a lot this year. Olumide, thank you so much for what you're doing on Twitter. Olumide is currently in Thailand, and he's the definition of go for the funding in 2021, and he's doing pretty well. He's doing amazingly well on Twitter, helping people to get opportunities. And so if you are not following Olumide, you can check him out on Twitter, and you can also check Nuruddin on Precious. And Soma is doing a lot. Then SOP reviews per week. Like the energy is really contagious, and I just want to say thank you. So if you have questions, I'll yield the mic to you. You can ask questions and we can all provide answers for you. Like I'll be juggling between here and YouTube. So that nobody is left unattended. True. Okay. Happy New Year, Lua. EJ, hi, welcome to Scholarship Cafe, the first live stream in 2022. Looks really real that we're in the new year already. So for me, my goals is to help people get access to scholarships. Like I would not say it's bad to contract things out, but I feel like when you do things yourself, you become mastered, and like learning writing isn't hard. So there are several opportunities out there that we put out there every day for you to have a feel of getting opportunities without paying a dime. Like a lot of us here, from Ade Jimmy to Precious, we all had scholarships to summer. We all had scholarships to study in several places. Olumide is on scholarship in Thailand. I was in Korea for my master's degree, fully funded, to Germany for my PhD, fully funded, and to Canada with all this thing covered, your flight, your everything. So looking forward to 2022, what are the scholarship options that are there? How can you prepare yourself to be competitive? Can you do without rejection in grad school? Can you do without rejection when applying? These are the things I would address during the course of this conversation, I would say, informal conversation. And thank you for every applicant that have sent in their application for the Scholarship Cafe Project 50. Wow, we have 50 slots, and we've received over 250 applications in the last 24 hours. This is really huge. I promise that we will do a thorough job to get the people we really want in the camp. And one of the priorities in the camp is to have people have access to direct mentoring for the next 12 calendar months. And next year, we would take another 50 slot applicants. So if you don't qualify to be part of the 50 this year, do not be weary, do not feel rejected. There are several resources here on Scholarship Cafe YouTube page and Twitter page. You can see all those pin posts. In fact, a lot of people wrote to me in the last couple of weeks getting scholarships that I didn't even have access to them. We didn't meet, but they used the resources. So it will be okay. Please go through those resources and use them judiciously. And I'm sure this time next year, you will be in a better place, or also having those opportunities. And you can also give back to the community, just like the way Olumide is doing. So just again, I would say if you have questions, please kindly sending your questions. You can, if you're joining us live on YouTube, please, you can drop your questions, and Someone said I already dropped a question, so I don't know if you can help. So I thank you. Your question is like, I'm a veterinarian with MSc in veterinary anatomy. I'm looking for study scholarship in Europe. I don't know if you can help or guide me. I would suggest you apply for the Erasmus scholarship or the Chevening, the Commonwealth scholarship. There are several scholarships out there. I know people that got into PhD in veterinary medicine in the US, even if it's for you to go to Israel, which they have a lot of funding, you should consider this track. One major thing that you should learn this year is to be intentional. Use every resources out there on Google. Search for, research interests that are similar to yours. Look at the professors that are working in your field of interest. Look at their publications. Shoot an email. Like you can see cold email format on this YouTube page or on my Twitter, pin post. So that should help you. Happy New Year, Edun. And then, hello, Doctor. Happy New Year. I would love to inquire about tips for writing a motivation letter. You have a lot of resources online for motivation letter. I've made video about passing a statement and statement of purpose. You can check it out. The most important thing is for you to convey your story. You don't want to be emotional about your story. You want to convey your story perfectly well that you deserve the scholarship or the funding opportunity you are applying for. So please check my YouTube video on personal statement and statement of purpose, and make use of Google as well. You see a lot of template. You can craft your story very well. It is your story. It is personal. Nobody can write it for you. Okay, so I think it seems be okay. I'm Samuel Shijwal in Nigeria and Scott in India. Do you have plans for mock interview for PhD applicants in the early part of the year? Yes, at Scholarship Cafe, we have plans for mock interview, and also a friend of mine, a junior colleague, is also doing mock interview. Currently, you can apply, but again, you can shoot me an email. I do one-on-one mock interview for people, and again, for those of us that I know that in this room, Nuruddin, Adeniji, Limited Fasha, King, Soma, any of us can administer mock interview and we don't collect a dime. So that is very important. Like if you're just joining, if you're just new to Scholarship Cafe, we don't collect money from anyone. We'll give back to the community that has raised us to be who we had today. So it's very important, like Samuel Shijwale, you can shoot an email to me and we can arrange something. But again, in the meantime, I also have common interview questions on Twitter, which you can look at. The most important thing is to be able to address why you are interested in the PhD. Like you want to emphasize on, okay, you have a problem statement and you have some expertise that align with the research interest being pursued in the group or in the lab. So you can shoot me an email. We can arrange a mock interview. It's overwhelming, but I mean, that could be my New Year gift to you. So that's pretty fine. So please, if you're just joining, you can shoot your questions. You can ask for the mic. I can yield the mic to you. You can communicate as well. And if you have anything to say about us, about Scholarship Cafe, I'm sure nobody collected money from anyone here. So yeah. So and I'm welcoming Adejimi Adeniji. Dr. Adejimi Adeniji has been amazing supporter of Scholarship Cafe in the last 1 year, and is doing a lot in the coming year. If you're looking for opportunities in maths, in physical sciences, you may want to follow Dr. Jimmy Adeniji on Twitter. So I think I'm done with that question, and then I'm just gonna go straight to YouTube to see what's the next question. Okay, so I'm applying for the university. I applied for Commonwealth Scholarship. Did you say Erasmus? Yes, I did say that. I said Erasmus. You can try Erasmus scholarship. Happy New Year. What are the necessary documents needed to be in place when undergraduate in the final year? Your CV is very important. Wow, you should draft your CV right now. If you're in your final year, I want to suggest that you start applying for scholarships. You start your statement of purpose. Yeah, why? I mean, generic statement of purpose doesn't cut, but again, your introduction, your experience so far would always be like something you can put in somewhere. I wrote an EDS statement recently and I shared with someone. I was like, how long did you write this? I said, I wrote it for six months. So I write it in a beat. You just don't wake up one day and say you want to apply for scholarship. It's a gradual process. And, this is why a lot of people cannot deal with rejections that come with scholarship, because you just want to wake up and get a scholarship, but it doesn't cut that way. So Gideon, I'm applying to the University of Saskatchewan, not on the scholarship. I don't have my transcript yet, but I'm using a official, using my third and fourth result. What do you think? I mean, it's left for the school to decide. Please contact the school if they accept unofficial transcript. I think that should be it. Welcome, Dokita Oluwaseun Ajay, Dokita in view. Thank you so much, Ibrahim Jidari Samo. Happy New Year to you as well. So if you have your questions, you can drop them in the chat box. Thank you so much for what you're doing, Oluwaseun Ajay. It's been amazing in the last 1 year. Like we spoke this month, like sometimes you feel all alone doing the scholarship thing, helping people to get opportunities. But there's a huge blessing that is attached with helping people, especially when you do it on the humanitarian side of it. You don't expect anything in return. And if I count the blessings in 2021, I can't really, quantify it. And the fact that people get opportunities out there and, they pass it on to other people, just like what Olumide Fashakin is doing. I remember Nuruddin Rahman sent me a list of application fee waiver universities. I think it was at a fair in Lagos a couple of months ago. And he was just, take this, post it. And, I get so many messages like this that I just push out there. I don't know it all. I can't be everywhere. But there are a lot of people out there that send me resources like, okay, Egbon, shoot this thing, put this out there, let people enjoy it. So I really want to appreciate you all. Once again, I want, for people that are just joining, I want to appreciate someone, Kibe. I can't imagine someone reviewing STEM SOP. She's a non-STEM, and she does this every week, 10 SOP, and she writes admission is free. God, people are cashing out on something like this. But the being selfless, being committed to the growth of others is something that it's something we all must cultivate, especially when we think about how to fix our own country on the long run. I feel like we are building a community of scholars that could provide solution to our continent, to our country, to our nations in the next couple of years. And so why should we hoard information? Why should we sell information? Why should we make information inaccessible for those that cannot afford it? It doesn't make sense. Well, there are justifications for people that will say, oh, I'm monetizing my time. Yeah, but again, life is really short. And so what you give back to the system, what you give back to the other people. For instance, University of People gave over 100 people scholarships, courtesy of Scholarship Cafe. I told them they were changing a generation. Someone changed my own story when I had a South Korean government scholarship. The person did not monetize that information. And so I will never monetize information out there. I'll do my bit. Most important thing is like, yeah, you can be selfish at times. You may not be able to fix the problems. You may not be able to attend to everyone, but I'll do my bit. And that's why I've put in a lot of effort into YouTube resources for you, into resources on my pin post on Twitter. Like once you just get there, you can have access to those resources. You can do it. You can download all the resources, then sit and just go with it. I did that for Alawade. I'm going to ask you to unmute. If you have questions that you can, please go ahead to unmute yourself. Hi everyone, Happy New Year. I have no experience in research and only a BSc, but I was submitting an application to public health in the US. I was invited to an interview. I have no idea what to expect. Any advice? Okay. Kaigo, I'm sure you had a BSc on thesis. That means you have research experience. So I don't know why you said you do not have a research experience. Good evening. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Happy New Year to you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Dapo.
Yep. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, sir.
You're welcome.
How are you today? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead with your question.
Fine. I just want link you dropped some time ago on a application fee waiver.
Yeah.
I tried some of the schools and then they told me they do not waive application fee. And I guess probably the kind of email I sent, maybe I didn't capture what I'm supposed to capture in the email that I sent to them to waive the application fee. So I wouldn't know whether there is a template you can just go through how we can send email to this grad school concerning application fee waiver, sir.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, and if you check the video, I made a like I made an option. Like most of the schools could be maybe because you have to state your case that you needed the waiver based on your financial inability. So it's important that you state the reason why you need this waiver. And I remember saying that you may have to attach your bank statement to it. So most of those schools change over time. I know a lot of people. I know someone. I think Nuruddin can talk about this here. He had over 8 application waivers, and I know people that had 12 application waivers. So and these are the people that also probably went through this link, and they also, the most important thing is talking to the graduate admission office, stating your case, like, okay, you cannot afford this application fee because it is way more than the minimum wage in your country, or you've been affected by COVID or maybe disaster or something like that, and your dream is tied to this. You can check the YouTube. I mean, if you have checked the YouTube video, I also have a template for application fee waiver. But if they do not grant you, I would just advise that you move on.
It's very sir.
You're welcome. So, yeah, it's always important to start your application early. Yeah, however, some school will require you to pay. I completely understand. And I've seen exceptional cases where the school would ask you to submit and you will not pay application fee until when the admission decision has been made. So there are several isolated cases. Yeah. So, yeah, Samuel, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Prof. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I'm currently studying in India at American Institute of Medical Sciences on a scholarship, and I've made applications for PhD. I've made application for PhD in 4 different universities, including an Ivy League. I've had interviews with professors from 3 of the schools. And the challenge I'm having now is that my program in India is going to end in December, and resumption for this PhD program will be in August. So I don't know, what is your advice for me in this situation? What's your advice for me?
Okay, your current program is going to end in when?
December.
And the resumption for the PhD is
August. Most of the for the application I've made, it will be starting in August.
Isn't it possible for you to defer to spring?
Well, I'm just like, that's why I'm asking, what will you advise me when the time comes to make that decision?
Okay. For my own story, my Korean government scholarship was to finish in August, ending of August. I resumed PhD in Germany 1st of August because I was already done with everything. So if it's possible for you to finish on time, I don't know. It depends on your supervisor. And in most cases, they ask you to defend early, or you can talk to your future supervisor as well. Be open to them, like, okay, you're in the last lap of your program, you're left with your defense. So it's possible for you to negotiate that you can resume at a later date, like spring. In Germany, for instance, you can resume any time of the year because like for me, I resumed in August. I did not register as a student until March the following year. But when I defended my PhD, it still counted like I resumed in August as a PhD student. But in the US, I would advise you talk to your supervisor. And I think Dr. Shion Ajay is still here. He could also provide, I don't know if he's still here or he had left. Probably he could also have suggestions for you. But I mean, in my own view, that is what I would do. I'll probably just talk to my future supervisor and tell him, oh, Dr. Shion Ajay is here. So I'm just gonna unmute Dr. Shion Ajay to to probably give us his own view about it. But that's just my simple advice.
All right, good afternoon, everyone from here. Happy New Year, and thank you so much, Dr. Lumira, for setting this up. I'm not a doctor yet, please. Yeah, getting there. But
Of course,
yeah, my advice for Samuel is that, don't throw anything away, just get your admission. When you get to the bridge, you always cross it. So what I will advise is that once you get the admission and it's for August, one of the things that people often do is to reach out to their supervisor, just like what Dr. Lumura said, and to talk about, starting in January, just have the admission. That's the most important thing. Once you have the admission, nobody's gonna, take it away from you. And the only concern that might come up is, will there be guaranteed funding for you maybe in spring? So those are the kind of things you must work out with your advisor. So I will advise, don't mind, just get your admission for August. And once you get to that bridge, reach out to your advisor and tell him, about your program, not ending soon, that you like to switch your resumption dates to January. And by the grace of God, fortune will smile on you. So that's what I'm going to say here.
Thank you so much, Doc. TK, Temi KG, Happy New Year. I've applied but keep getting rejection letters. I've written my SOP and people look at it and I got positive affirmations that was well written. What could be the problem? Anyways, and rejection as part of the process. I was talking to someone this morning that I wrote 200 professors before I could get a yes for my postdoc. It's not even PhD. I wrote more than that for PhD. So please go through your SOP once again. It's important to broaden your scope. Like I tell people, go for the funding. If you're looking at the US and a lot of people are asking for application fee waiver, imagine a school open up the application without, without application fee waiver. Before, maybe with the application fee of $100, you have 20 applicants, but with our application fee, you have 1,000 applicants, and they only have 10 slots for funding. That means they have to consider a lot of things: your recommendation letter, your CGPA, your publications, how your volunteering experience, your leadership experience. Those are the things that really determines, the kind of people they admit. And again, I will keep saying it, there are several opportunities out there. Olumide is in Thailand. There are several people in South Korea that got fully funded in South Korea. They're looking for grad students. But if you focus on Canada and the US, then you have to submit competitive application, which cuts across the fact that you have previous research experience and your CGP is really okay, your GRE score is there, your IELTS is there. When university talk about they waive GRE, in most cases they have ties and they still use it to evaluate candidates. So it's not just about you writing your SOP. And I tell people it's not just about you writing your CGPA. Sometimes it's even about how you write your story. And on the long run, a lot of metrics, evaluation rubrics are there, coming from, okay, are you top 1% in your class? Does your recommendation letter convey information on who you are and, publication so far and a host of other things. So please do not give up. It may be a time for you to look at other, continents to see if your research interest really falls into that. I think that should answer you. So I'm going to admit 10 other people. Okay, Doctor, go ahead. Talk about application fee waiver, please.
I think you mentioned the most important thing about it. For programs that they have limited slots and maybe they are just looking out for 10 students, just by announcing application waiver, they have actually expanded the pool. So you're going to be vying with so many people at the same time. So what I always try to advise people is that when you're coming to the United States, you don't have to apply to 10 schools. I'm always very ruthless about this because based on my experience, I only applied to 2 schools. And if I was wise enough, I would not have even applied to the other school. I would have just applied to 1 school. So what I always tell people is that that's why I always say this about code emailing professors. Once you do your work with that and you tie that knot very well, and you have a very good communication with your potential advisor and the person promises you funding. One thing I always tell people is that, go all the way, even if it requires you borrowing money, pay the application fee, and get that out of the way. So many times when you go for those application waivers, you are just, increasing the competition, because in a school that that they always maybe receive about 50 applications before you know it, 2,000 people are reaching out. So it now boils down to what? The survival of the fittest. And so if you don't do your work very well, at the end of the day, your SOP, your application document is going to be thinned out. So, I might be quite crude in the way I'm saying it, maybe because, so I'm not talking from the point of privilege. I'm not really a big fan of application waiver. I don't know why, but I understand the situation of Nigeria and how things could work out. So if you can see the application waiver, just like what Dr. Lua is saying, make sure you work. Spend so much time on your application document that it's solid. But at the end of the day, it's still not guaranteed because you don't know the kind of application documents others are going to be submitting. So I always tell people, avoid the competition, if you want to do it. If I'm actually, faced with 2 options, a stricter competition or a less strict competition, I'm going to go for the less strict competition, because that's how it works. So I hope this helps someone out there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dokin and Brian. Hi, Olani. You can have the floor, please.
Thank you very much for this privilege. I just want to add a bit to what Dr. Luashin was just said. I was in Hong Kong for a while, scholarship too. I had problem with my supervisor and I switched over to the US. So what the method I use and which I usually prescribe to people is, sometimes it may be the most stressful ways to do literature review. You can, when you look at the professor you want to work with, you can look at what he has done over the years and do like a literature review, small review, send to him. The person I'm working with now, I didn't even send my CV. So I did a review of one of his work and I sent it to him. I noticed a gap and he contacted me back, and that the other were history. So it may be very stressful to do that, but I think that will also help in letting the professor know that, oh, this is a potential I may not want to miss.
Yeah, that's very sound. I remember also when I was applying for my PhD in China, I sent a proposal to professors, and it was easier for me to land supervisors because even when the proposal is not even related to their field, but they could see like a written sample already. So I think those are parts which you can, there is no one way thing to all these things. You just need to like look at several pathways. Okay, draft a research proposal, look for what is missing in a professor's area of interest, like a publication, or at the end of every review or publication they always put the missing gap, so you can focus your answers, focus your research interest on that, and then they realize that, okay, this person is actually committed to working with us, not just like someone that wants to jackpot. Like I ask people, when you jackpot, then what next? So, and it's not the motivation for 2022 is not just about jackpot. Yes, you want to leave, I understand. But when you do the right thing, when you do your primary assignment, looking out for, okay, what can I bring along to this group? Not just about emotional statement. My parents has 14 children. The first, it became so woeful that I couldn't study well. That was why I had a flat CV or flat CGPA. That one doesn't count. But the fact that you, through adversity, you were still able to come back stronger, and you have something to offer that goes a long way to help you in your journey in this year. So let me just check out questions on YouTube. I'm sorry if I haven't attended to the YouTube questions. Someone asked, do I need to authenticate my student copy's transcript at a high court for my PhD? You don't have to. In most cases in the US, they accept unofficial transcript for you to apply for their program. Then once the decision has been made, they can request for official copy. But for me, I authenticated mine when I was applying for the South Korean Chinese government scholarship because I didn't have the school copy with me. They only gave me the student copy, which I did and authenticated. Then I use it for my master's and PhD application. So it's important to, look out for admission requirements from the school, and you can also shoot an email to the school like, okay, would you allow me to use an unofficial copy? How bad will my applications be affected if my recommendation turned in late? Well, please, like someone said earlier, apply on time, talk to your recommenders. It's important, like they send in their recommendation before the deadline. I mean, in most cases, recommendation takes about 40% of the evaluation. Now imagine you're losing 40 marks, then what is left? So it's important to, right now it's January, if it's okay for you to start sending them messages, hey, Happy New Year, sir, this and that. Create a relationship, create a network. Talk to them about your ambition for the year. If it takes you, some of them will even ask you to write, a draft for them. Send it to them, monitor it up. Make sure you submit your application on time. Again, the South Korean government scholarship I always talk about opens in February. If you are interested in studying in South Korea, this is the time for you to start looking for schools. Download last year application form. Feel it. It doesn't change. Write in your statement of purpose, write in your personal statement, send it to people to help you review. I'm sure I've made several videos on, I was on Ali's Ijisha Scholar Pivoter YouTube channel last year to talk about how you can land the South Korean government scholarship. It shouldn't come to like one day before the deadline. You begin to run skater. Oh, I want to apply for the scholarship and I'm looking for a recommendation letter. It doesn't work that way. Start looking for schools to apply in Korea. One thing I always tell people, you may have the privilege to go to Seoul National. You may have the privilege to go to KAIST. I went to Daejeon University in Korea. It's not even in the top 20, but I eventually landed a PhD in KIT, which is it was like the top 100 universities in the world as at 2016. And I'm in UBC, the top 50 universities in the world. So sometimes it doesn't matter, like you applying to top universities, because even their competition is high. There's something I told someone which he made use of it last year. Look for new schools on the South Korean government scholarship. I'm sure a lot of people are watching me right now, and it's probably going to increase the competition, but I'm not going to hide the information. I don't hoard information. Look for new schools. There is high possibility that those new schools in the scholarship will take in students. And so apply to those schools, talk to a professor. Again, if you're applying for the South Korean government scholarship, do you have to get a professor acceptance? I would say yes, because in most cases, if you do not get a South Korean government offer, the professor can offer you funding. So please start writing professors in Korea right now. Check their website, check their page, check their papers. There is even a particular website I usually post on Twitter. It has about over 500 positions, like they advertise. Go there, shoot your email. There was someone that actually placed a call to a Korean professor last year. And the guy was like, how did you got to know about me? The position I advertised was in Korean. And the guy got the opportunity. So you have to be intentional. You have to do the work yourself. I should quote Oluwaseun Ajayi earlier today. You have to be intentional. You have to do the work yourself. It's very important. Someone said, I've been an applicant for 5 years now, Chinese government scholarship. It ought me seriously because I got nominated last year and I was enlisted for the first batch, but I was surprised that I didn't receive my scholarship offer later. My supervisor at South China University of Tech was surprised too. Please, will you advise I reapply again this year? Please don't apply for the Chinese government scholarship this year. If you had applied last year, you cannot even enter China. And that's sad. A lot of people got Chinese government offer and so scholarship. they're frustrated because China hasn't opened the border. I mean, I don't see reasons why you should apply for the Chinese government scholarship for 5 years. There are several other opportunities out there. There are opportunities in Korea. There are opportunities in Thailand. Someone in my cycle got scholarship, DAD scholarship in Vietnam. He's spending 6 months in Germany, spending the rest of this program in Vietnam. So like, why should you focus on China for 5 years? In a sane environment, you must have completed a PhD within the period you've been applying. So please broaden your scope, apply widely. China is probably not opening their border again in the next couple of months. So you have to be strategic. In case you're asked to submit a draft of recommendation by a professor, how do I get sample formats? There are several formats online. You have to be real. This is about you. I cannot give you, a lot of people ask me for recommendation letter format. I don't know you. So you have to like convey what you want the professor to know about you. The professor should attest to your academic research prowess, should attest to your volunteering skill, should attest to your communication skill, should attest to your ability to be able to live in a new environment. So you have to write it yourself, then send it to your professor. That's for Richmond. And okay, so I think I'm gonna go back on YouTube. So if you have questions again, I would say please you can signify it and I can give you the floor straight away. So I think okay, so let me just have 6 people waiting in the room again. I don't know if Samuel Shijade still have question. If not, I'm just gonna go straight to our YouTube to the YouTube page. And so someone asked a question about mathematics. You said, can someone with 56% in MSc in Nigeria apply for PhD in any European country direct? I don't know what you mean about direct PhD. That is an MPhil grade. I'll probably recommend you do another master's or something. Even 60% PhD grade, when it comes to the Korean grading system, it's very difficult for them to interpret it properly. So if you think you do not merit PhD in Nigeria, I might just advise you to do another master's. In Europe, it's quite difficult to get in as a PhD student. But if you think you want to go to the UK, if you have your money, I'm sure they might, waive it for you, or you just do the top-up program. Someone said, I need IELTS exam for admission in the US. Can I evaluate my ND result, HND, and my BSc together at once with West? Why not? You can have, I guess you can, evaluate everything together. Thank you for your mentorship with those who always link to your Twitter page, Learn Today, where I receive an admission waiting for a scholarship response. Be a mentor one day. Oh, thank you, Esther. All the best. Do I need my original certificate to apply for a PhD? Adishawa, you do not need your original certificate. You need your photocopy to apply for a PhD. Your original certificate is yours. Okay. Someone said, I've been having hard times finding because of study. I focus on European countries, but it seems I'm searching wrong. I studied guidance and counseling for my undergrad. Well, guidance and counseling, you need to think broad. Maybe it's not called guidance and counseling where you're going. Are you talking about bioethics? Like, you need to find something related to guidance and counseling. Someone read management, and we argued on Twitter like it's hard to get fully funded scholarship for such. And she went to do some church courses on Canvas and on Coursera, and she applied for product management, and she's currently on this fully funded scholarship now. So I don't know if European University do anything on guidance and counseling. It's more like a Nigerian thing. You have to think broad to like what is really applicable. I mean, you start from looking for professors in guidance and counseling in the world. If you can't see a publication on that, then maybe it's something different. So you really have to think about, the way you search, the concept you search. Is there a research interest in guidance and counseling that you're working on? Then you can, type it on Google to see related courses. Happy New Year. Kindly share the website you just spoke about, the website where you said over 500 positions are advertised. I'm coming. I will do that right away. I have it open here. So I'm just going to drop it right now. Okay, I think. Yes, I already shared the site. Someone said I have issues about from lecturers who taught me. Is it nice to go to lecture from another institution where to write a recommendation letter. A lot of people also ask me for recommendation letter on Twitter. I always turn it down because recommendation letters must come from your lecturers or supervisors. There is no way someone that do not teach you or someone that do not have any idea about the research you did will write a recommendation letter for you. And this is why a lot of people usually shoot themselves in the leg. If you think your professor is not talking to you, maybe there's a way to talk to them. Relationship is very important. A lot of people just leave after 5 years. You come back, you need a recommendation letter. They don't even know you again. So this year, cultivate the habit of having a relationship with your former lecturers and supervisor. Stephen, I got admission to Michigan, but unfortunately, I'm now funding $50,000. I reached out to the program director to know if I could get a TA to cater for the cost, and he said there was no more space left for me. I've currently deferred the program. Please, doctor, how do I get him to get a GA position? Please move on. You cannot force the program director to get a TA job for you. If they said they do not have a space, please move on. Okay, Adebayo Mala, socially called counseling psychology. I'm in the same position. Okay, clinical psychology out there. I have someone that read philosophy that eventually went into bioethics. So you have to look at basic ingredients to which you can connect your course to like see what is applicable in the world. It is very funny that most funding are towards STEM, but we can't do anything about that. So maybe if there's a way for you to connect counseling with STEM, it could be something you want to look out for. That's the simplest answer I could give. Is it ethical to say a new year to a professor that gave a positive response last year while I'm still waiting for application decision? Why not? I send emails like that to even my professors, like, hi, thank you so much for what you've done for me last year. It's courtesy. Like, nobody will kill you. Like, nobody will harm you for saying Happy New Year and all the best in the year. So it's just simple courtesy. What happens to people with second class lower and BS looking for direct PhD? You cannot get it. I need to be factual about that. Second class lower, direct PhD. I don't know, you can't. So I really need to tell you about that one. Hello, Dr. Applying to a PhD program from a bachelor degree background. What makes a competitive application? Your SOP, your CGPA, your research experience, your letter of recommendation, your standardized test. I did a lot of tweets, and I had a video on the admission checklist there. Good morning, sir. Thanks for the session. Which of this exam is the most important for US? GRE, IELTS, or TOEFL? GRE is different. IELTS or TOEFL, their English proficiency test. If you have the opportunity to write either of GRE or TOEFL, you need to check most schools what they actually accept. Is it TOEFL or IELTS? For me, I did IELTS twice, and most universities in Canada would accept IELTS, but some schools in the US will also accept IELTS. Why most schools accept TOEFL? So you need to be very, very specific, strategic about that. So I think I've answered all questions here. We have 7 people waiting, and I'm just gonna accept everyone. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to raise up your hands, and we can entertain your questions. So back to YouTube. Someone said, Gani, please get all your transcript and forward them to us in time. Dr. Miro, thank you most graciously for your suffers. Thank you so much to call Hamed Abolade. Aside Erasmus, what other scholarships that you can recommend? KGSP is there. Chinese government and also scholarships are currently they're not accepting people to enter China. Chevening is there. I posted 15 scholarships yesterday. So you might want to look at all the Commonwealth scholarship, look at the Chevening scholarship, look at the Erasmus, look at KGSP, look at MES scholarship in Japan, look at the Swiss government scholarship. There are several scholarships in Thailand, in Taiwan. You might want to look at that. In Germany, you can study for free under the DAD scholarship. So you can check that out. Good evening. Most of those professors are frustrating at times. You keep sending messages to them without reply. Yeah, professors also have their life. They have a lot of things they're doing. If professors don't reply your messages, that means they do not have funding. That means they do not have a space for you. Move on. It's I know it's hard when you don't get a reply. Again, you need to check the type of email you send. and also the type of CV you attach to the email. I, Doc, have identified my courses in Korea. Please, where can you advise I apply with 4.49 CGP for a master's in Korea? Also, do you have a contact where I can register for TOEFL at a cheap rate? I don't do register at TOEFL at a cheaper rate. Recently, it was discovered that most of these people that register at a cheaper rate, they were not actually legit. Most of this voucher they used were not actually meant for Nigeria. They were meant for other countries which I need. Please, I would advise that you stay away from people that offers standardized tests at are cheaper. So for Korea, please, there are several opportunities. You can look at the KGSP. Also, there is a particular page which posts about 500 positions in Korea. I'm just going to drop it in the chat box, so you probably can go through that page and identify which works for you, and I believe you will get what works for you there. Sir, concerning professional doctorate program, where we're awarded either a pass or fail, and the university is looking for a particular class of CGPA. Is there a way around it? Professional doctorate program. I don't understand that doctorate program. I was awarded I had a CGPA in Germany, but if you have a PhD, or you're talking about a doctoral program, like doctor of medicine, that would be different. So you probably need to be clear. Good evening, and thanks for giving up to the request. Please, I graduated with a top class degree in pole science. I'm planning to start my master's. What should I do? That's really a red flag. You may want to consider going to the UK if you have the money, or you may want to consider doing a top program in Nigeria. I think FUI and some other universities offer top programs, which you can spend like 1 or 2 years, then you have it all leveled up, or buffer. But to get fully funded scholarship with third class, some people might tell you it's very easy to get, but the reality is I haven't seen it. So maybe you need to do something, write publications, write to GRE or something else. But I can't comment on that for now. Yeah. So I'm just going to go back to Zoom, and good day, sir. For the US second class upper lower. Second class law student can get a direct PhD. 2 of my colleagues did that. Oh, fine. Yeah, you can connect with Ania Khadid. He said 2 of his friends with second class law got direct PhD in the US. Wow. I'm sure maybe Dr. Shion Ajay can also comment on that. Maybe he also have options in his school to get people with second class or direct PhD. So
yeah. All right, so sorry, the question, second class labor. Okay, no, I don't think that's possible, just like you said. I mean, so for example, so if you have a second class lower, the best thing you want to do is that you want to augment your grade by doing a master's, so that you can now shoot for a PhD. Most of the time, people who even get in through direct bachelor's who gets through a direct PhD, sorry, through a bachelor's is those that actually have a very good CGPA at the undergraduate level, and they have kind of a research experience. So if you have a 2-2, that's not the end of the world. Go for your MSc. Have a very good grade. Shoot for a distinction. Publish your papers, but please make sure you publish. Especially if you didn't publish anything at your bachelor's level, make sure as you go through your master's level, the most important thing you are particular about is, having that research experience, publishing those papers, and having a very good CGPA, so that kind of moments, I've seen some people who are the very good, who are the very bad CGPA at the bachelor's level, they still go to MS level, and at the same time, they still mess things up. That's not a good way to go about it.
yeah.
Go for your MSc, augment your grades, have very good research experience, and go for your PhD.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, bro. Someone said, okay, Doctor, you promised 4 months ago to review CV. Please have sent my academic CV to your email, and I've not gotten a reply. Well, the CV project is a year project, so if you're in need of your CV urgently, you may not get it, because I have about 1,000 CVs that I review gradually. So I also have things that I have other obligations, research, other things I also do. Again, I have a detailed CV on my YouTube page and on my Twitter page. And most times I know people want validation for you to go through their CV, but again, if you go through those templates, they are well, explained. They are simple enough to adapt. But if you're waiting for the outcome of the CV review, I'm sorry, it's a 1-year project, which I said to mark 1 year of scholarship to pay, and you may not get it on time because I do it gradually and I try as much as possible to review at least 20 CVs in a month, which cuts in between, my personal schedule. Can I get a direct PhD without MSc with a CGPA of 4.2? Yes, should go for it, Ezekiel June. I think that's your question, so I probably don't have to give you the floor anymore. Good evening. I'm looking for scholarship in animal genetics and breeding. My undergraduate research was on ruminant animal production. I work on silage. Does my undergraduate play any role in my MSc pursuit? Yes. Your undergraduate plays a role in your MSc pursuit. You have to look for professors in your field of interest, shoot them an email, and all the best for that. Abdul Kudus, hi. You can unmute.
Yes, good evening. I'm not sure. I was called just now to do something. So I just wanted to ask, I have applied for a PhD in energy engineering or electrical engineering since that's my background from my undergraduate. And I've sent several cold emails to professors, and I was opportune twice to do interviews. One was with a professor in UK, and the second one was with a professor in Australia. But after the interview, when I now mentioned that, okay, I would also be interested in the funded, because these are funded positions. Like I'll also be interested in funding. They now mentioned something like, they can accept me if I'm willing to pay, but currently they are low on funding. What do you advise in such situations now? Because the first one was so high, like almost $40,000. That was for the Australian one, and for the UK one, it was about £48,000, which is way above my budget.
So why your choice of the UK and Australia?
Well, I researched the schools, and then also they have done some research with my school, which I schooled in South Korea. So they had done some research with my school previously. So they had some link with my master's degree. That was why I actually went for those.
Okay, I think from your story, you can't afford the tuition because you studied in Korea. Were you on the scholarship in Korea?
Yes.
On the KGSP scholarship?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was on the South Korean government scholarship as well. And I think what I usually tell people is flexibility. When I got to Korea, I was a bacteriologist. Well, because there was no one to supervise me, I had to switch to the study of fungi. And this is what I've been doing in the last 7 years. I have 7 years of experience as a bacteriologist, 7 years of experience in mycology. So I think in this note, you have to be very flexible. If you see open calls for scholarships, there are things you can probably push to those supervisors like, okay, you don't have funding. My country doesn't have funding. Is it possible we try to apply for this kind of funding? I did this when I was applying for the DAD scholarship in Germany for my PhD. My supervisor then asked me if at all we had funding in Nigeria. I told him we do not. Then I said, okay, I found a DAD scholarship. Would you be able to supervise me? And we wrote a proposal together. So you may have to look at that way. If you think UK and Australia is somewhere you want to be, and you think because you have groups that works within your interest in those two countries. But I would suggest you could also look at different countries. You probably want to check Canada. You probably want to check the US. You want to check, I know it's hard. You've stayed in Korea for 3 years. You want to move? Yeah. But again, I would always advise you to be flexible because without funding, without funding, it's hard to do a PhD. So I think you probably can talk to those supervisors that says they don't have funding. If you guys could write a proposal together, apply for open scholarships and, try your shot. And in the long run, my story in Germany was I applied for DAD, I didn't get it. But eventually a position came up in the lab, which my boss sent to me and I applied. And that was how I got in. Yeah, go ahead. You still have questions?
Okay, yes. I've actually tried Canada. I've sent several cold emails, but no responses yet. That's my issue with Canada just for now. That's the only issue that I've had.
Yeah, I mean, for me too, when I was in Korea, I wrote several professors in Canada, which they were all rejected. So like, it still goes back to the fact that you have to be very flexible. For me, I would always advise that what you did in your PhD, in your master's, is different from what you want to do in your PhD, so that you can have a broad experience. In my PhD, on my master's, I work with a fungal human pathogen. Then I'll go to Germany. I work on the plant pathogen. Now for my postdoc, I'm working on a human pathogen again, human pathogenic fungus. So I think if you know you don't have the funding, you have to be flexible. You have to be available and, shoot your shot anywhere. And is your professor in Korea giving you the opportunity to continue your PhD there?
No, because he also lost his funding. That's why he didn't allow me to continue. If not, I usually also keep in touch with him. And then he said, due to the corona issue, he has not been able to get adequate funding yet to be able to carry on a whole student. That's tuition, and also because he said he would like to also give, even if it's a stipend.
Yeah, right.
In addition to the tuition. So that's why I've not actually been able to continue with him. But apart from that, I've also tried Canada several times. So and I even paid for some schools to be able to, because before you apply to some schools, you have to pay for the whole process. So I've done that several times just to keep trying, but I haven't been able to access Canada yet. I'm just talking about the two that I was able to have interviews with. That's the ones I talked about.
Yeah. I mean, the first step is submitting an application. You land an interview. I'd landed several interviews, which eventually I didn't get a position because one, they prefer someone in the system. I remember applying for a position in the UK at Exeter University. The guy actually said I performed well, but they went for someone in the system. So these are all, bottlenecks, which goes against one sometimes. But again, like I said, you need to be flexible, and I hope your story changes for the better. And you can also maybe drop your research interest in the chat box. There are several people here which they post scholarship opportunities. They might probably find something for you as well. Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So good evening and thanks for the session. Can you please speak to getting scholarship for MBA? Well, scholarship for MBA, it's really hard to get. I know University of the People, they do subsidized, but in UBC, for instance, it's close to about 100,000 Canadian dollars to get MBA, because MBA is for people that are professional. But in the UK, you can check my Twitter page. I remember making a case of fully funded MBA in the UK. It's even on my YouTube channel. So I would advise you check through the video I made on list of fully funded scholarship in the UK. I remember someone that got a fully funded MBA, like Women in Leadership MBA in the UK last year. So you can check that out. Well, in North America, I haven't seen fully funded scholarship for MBA. It's really hard to get. And it's not cheap. Yep.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Lomira, for the opportunity. All right, so just like what Dr. Lomira said, it's very, very difficult to get fully funded, scholarship for MBA, because basically it's for professionals. But one of the things I'm going to do maybe during the course of the year, because the person does not want me to loud it, he actually got a fully funded MBA in the United States. Double masters, MBA and business analytics. So one of these days, one of these days I'm going to bring him and he's going to talk about his experience. But the most important thing that you guys must understand is that this guy did his work. You know, he was working with, I don't know the name they call them now, Nigerian breweries here. Is it Nigerian breweries? No, the Coca-Cola guys. What's the name? What's the name again?
NBC.
Yeah, Nigerian bottling company. Yeah. So he has a very good professional experience. So, and he did GRE twice. So this is not, so if you are not ready to, if you are still looking for a waiver, if you are looking for, just don't talk about getting fully funded MBA scholarship. Just look for something else. Gather your money together, you know. But if you are serious about it, you know, one of these days I'm going to bring him on board and he's going to share his experience with some of us. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go straight to you two. I'm currently a first-year master's student of civil engineering in Kazakhstan. Please, when is the right time to start up applications, sending in cold emails to professor for PhD for fall? From my own experience, I started applying for PhD after 1 year of my master's program, because it's also take a long time in most cases. Some people get it easily, like you write a professor, then he says, oh, he has funding. But in most cases, those professors, wait for funding decision. So if you write them early right now, like, okay, you are current master's student in civil engineering, you're interested in their field, you can even join their network. They can have you on their mailing list. In fact, sometimes you send them an email like, okay, I'm writing to apply to your lab. I know you may not have funding, but I would appreciate if you can keep me on your mailing list. So that also goes a long way. I'm a recent graduate of civil engineering with a first class. Please, what's the best call between a straight master's and a direct PhD? I would just say, yeah, any of those calls, shoot in your application. I know of a friend, Jamaticulus, that did is an engineering student. He had a first class. He was on Erasmus for his master's. Then he came to Canada now for his PhD. So please, sometimes you just have to like make up your mind, like do your work, be intentional about it, apply. Not because you have a first class doesn't mean you will land that scholarship once. You just have to put in applications out there, and whatever. I always tell people, sometimes it's a blessing for you to be confused on what to choose, on where to go. Like, oh, I want to consider China, I want to consider Japan, I want to consider Korea. Should I go to the US? But if you are like, someone just tell you, oh, go for a straight PhD, and you ignore the calls for masters from Erasmus for Chevening, then at the end of the day, you just lose out. So apply widely. Thank you. Presently, my area of interest is fungal pathogens affecting plants. One of my mentors suggested I apply for another master's degree, because I'll be opportunity to learn more and also have advanced knowledge of modern tech. Please, I'll appreciate your view. Well, for me, learning is like a curve. Life is like a learning curve, and if your mentor says you should apply for another master's, I don't know why. Only if you're looking at the US, but if you're considering Asia, for instance, someone like me, I didn't have like top-notch research skills when I applied to Korea. So if you already have a master's, I would suggest, okay, if you're looking for opportunities for PhD direct, you can, straight PhD, you can go to Korea, you can apply to Japan, they'll train you. But if you want to go to the US, you may want to consider applying for another master's program, which probably you need skills in molecular tools. But again, if you are in Nigeria, you should go to the Nigerian Medical Research Institute. You can have access to molecular techniques, and within 3 months, that could upscale your CV, and you can apply for PhD. With a master's, if someone is saying you should apply for another master's because of molecular skills, when even at the postdoc level, you still have new techniques to learn. So that is not enough. And the question is always like, what do you really want for yourself? It's almost like 1 hour, and I think, okay, Samuel Olutosin. Hi, Samuel. Can I have the floor? Hi, Samuel. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm a microbiology graduate from FUTA.
Okay.
I'm actually I applied to a couple of universities in the United States, and trying to get a master's, get into a master's program in the United States. So the issue I think I have now is I applied for a couple of master's degrees, and I also applied for a couple of direct PhD because I currently have a bachelor's degree in microbiology. So now I just want to pass this through you. What do you think? Because a friend of mine, I was having this discussion with a friend of mine, and he was saying that it's better for me to go for masters. If I should go for a master's degree in the United States, the training I will get, the experience and all that, even after getting my master's degree in the United States, I might decide not to proceed with a PhD and, probably just cross into the workforce, instead of going through PhD and going through academic fine. So I'm now like, because most of these universities I apply to, by January, February, their decisions will be, I would get a couple of decisions from them. So I'm now like, okay, what do you really think? Do you think as a microbiologist, trying to get a degree in the United States, is it better for me to, get a master's or go for a direct PhD?
Okay, from my perspective as a microbiologist, I didn't study in the US. I had my master's in South Korea and I had my PhD in Germany. So I would say my drive was the fact that I love academia, and that is why I pursued it to PhD level. So if you do not want to have a career in academia, then why pursue a PhD? So you might. Yeah. I'm just stating the obvious, because right now someone is saying you may have to do masters, someone is saying you may have to do PhD direct, then you're confused. But the question is, what do you really want to do? Do you see yourself teaching? Do you see yourself doing research? Or you see yourself working in the industry with Pfizer, or you see yourself in a consulting firm? So those are the questions.
Okay. The thing is, basically, I love research. I love academia. I love to teach. In fact, I've had a couple of teaching experience in the university environment before. So I kind of love the two. I love research. I love to teach. And if I'm going to actually work with a master's, probably going to be with a research firm and all that, which is still what I love to do, research. So I'm
You
kind
don't
of now
publish.
like, I'll come again.
If you go to the industry, you don't publish.
Yes. I guess that's the only difference, with the industry. So I'm really kind of divided between the two. And another thing I was actually considering is the fact that a PhD degree in the United States takes like 5 to 7 years, because the university I applied to is Wake Forest University. I've spoken to a couple of students there, and they said the average PhD duration is 6 years. So sometimes it's 6.5, sometimes 7. So I'm just like, checking everything,
for
doing
direct PhD.
Yes, for direct PhD, because currently there's a Nigerian guy there that I'm in contact with. He said in the first year, you are going to like, attend classes. It's more like you are starting from a master's level upward. So it's a really, I just, when I saw your stuff on Twitter, I was like, let me just join this Zoom meeting and pass it through you, if I can just get your take on it. So,
well, for me, if you picture your life and you cannot dedicate the next 5 or 6 years of your life to the lab, or to like rigorous PhD, then I feel like do your master's and go to the industry. I've been in the lab for 14 years. This will be my 15th year. And I love research. I want to publish. I want to teach. I want to talk to people about my research. And, when I was like, before I got married, it's all about passion. But yeah, sometimes you ask yourself, like, is passion enough? So if I'm at your stage, I might decide to pursue a PhD. But if I feel like, okay, 6 years of PhD is not something I can deal with. But again, I always tell people, we all have different stories. Like your friend that spent 6 or 7 years doesn't mean you would spend that. I have people that have spent up to 6, 7 years for PhD in Germany as well. And I spent 3 years and 2 months. So it all falls down to who you are. It all falls down to what you really want to do, your own decision. So if you're applying for a direct PhD and they give you 6 years to complete, that's like 2 years of master's and maybe 4 years of PhD. I had a 3 years of master's in South Korea, including language, and I did a PhD for 3 years and 2 months. That means that I had 6 years of 2 months before I landed a PhD. So it's almost the same thing. So, but again, if you are not fully committed to academia, yeah, you don't need a PhD. And it falls back to who you are, because when you get even to grad school to do your master's, you won't ask opinion from your friends. It's about you. So ask yourself, do you want to commit your next 6 years into academia, or you just want to do 2 years master's and you want to go to the industry to make your money? And that's what lies. That's where your passion lies and your decision lies. Yeah, it's a personal decision. I can tell you, okay, go do PhD, and eventually when you get to grad school, it's a lot of work. You do comprehensive exam. Comprehensive exam is not easy. I mean, I didn't do comprehensive exam in Germany, but I've had people that did comprehensive exam in my lab. It's not easy. So you have to be mentally stable. You have to, like, when all this PhD issues comes, field experiment comes. I mean, my brother, Ashio Ajayi, we still spoke a few days ago that he was in the lab. Can you be in the lab on Saturdays? I go to the lab on Saturdays. I go to the lab on Sundays. So it's not that I'm earning like, PwC type of consulting salary. So if you think you cannot really commit that kind of energy, passion to PhD, I would just advise you do your master's and go straight to the industry, make your money, and you're fine as a microbiologist. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna end this room in another 30 minutes. Yeah. So yeah, all I need, thank you. It's all about what you want. Nobody can make the decision for you. Good evening. Thank you. My research interest, renewable energy, microgrid, and clean energy. Yeah, sustainability and all those research are everywhere in the world. You just have to look for scholarships that advertise such positions and apply accordingly. So I'm just going to pick a few questions on YouTube before we close the session for the day. Apply to 10 schools in the US. My recommenders have responded to 7. After 2 weeks, one recommendation is yet to finish. Is this bad for my application? Your school will decide whether it's bad for your application. I have an academic CV with research interest. Instruction engineering, must I add it to suit whatever application I'm putting? Yes, you have to. You have to make it suit. Yep. So James, can we connect? Someone is saying would like to study in Kazakhstan. There is fully funded scholarship in my school. Wow, thank you so much. Ochama James, you can check the thread or you can contact James. So there are several fully funded scholarships in a school in Kazakhstan. The last question brings the point of my curiosity. Why do people spend more years than all in the PhD? Well, it's about the person, it's about your supervisor, it's about your program. So I spent 3 years and 2 months, it's still PhD. People spend 2 years for PhD. Well, in the US, like the average, numbers of years you can spend is 5 years, especially for direct PhD. In Korea, before you graduate, you need to produce at least 2 publications, maybe first author. So it depends on the school rule. Like you cannot decide like when you enter a PhD and you say you want to graduate in another 1 year. There are basic requirements that you need to fulfill before you can graduate. I mean, you can finish your PhD. So, and that's why I keep telling people it's not enough for you to say, oh, I want to jackpot through PhD. PhD, it's mentally draining. You have to be, mentally fit. You have to believe in yourself because it will come to a point that you're left alone to motivate yourself. So that's very, very important to note. Julius, you have the floor, please. Hi, Julius.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, please.
What I wanted to ask is, my undergraduate level, I sent the question before. My undergraduate level, I worked on silage. So I worked on ruminant animal production. But I think my passion lies with animal breeding and genetics. I stay in River State, and basically animal production is very low because of the environment. But I don't have practical knowledge on genetics, but I do in ruminant animal production, because that's where I did my research and have some publications. So I don't know, switching to animal genetics and breeding for masters without any lab experience in animal breeding and genetics, how it will work out.
Oh, well, why I feel it's kind of hard because you need a prior research experience. It's not something that's impossible. Again, I've been on several platforms where professors look out for people that do not have a similar research experience with them because they feel those people would, bring in fresh ideas. So if you can look for a mentor or a professor that you kind of like his or her research interest. In fact, there was someone recently that was given a position in the US for PhD, and the guy was to resume few months before the PhD began so that he can resume as a research intern. So you can look at those opportunities. Don't belittle yourself. You have research experience in a different field, but again, sometimes you have to look at the interdisciplinary connection. Okay, ruminant animal genetics, is there a connection between the two? You need added knowledge to to bring about something in animal genetics. You don't have a prior experience, but you have something that is related to it. So it's about how you write your story and be able to emphasize the fact that you're ready to learn because you've identified a problem statement. Oh, I don't have a research experience in this. But again, you can also look for labs around you that are doing something related to animal genetics or, attend webinars, look out for labs, look out for collaborations. In most cases, I've seen people even during their undergrad program, they go on exchange fellowships to the US to learn in a particular lab. So it's just that you need to really broaden, your scope, widen your scope, look at labs you think you're interested in. You may even, during the course of the interview, you might push that, okay, would they allow you to come learn for 3 or 6 months? There are funding for that, short visit. And by then you can upscale your CV and gradually you become what you want to do and you get the needed expertise. But it's not always required. Oftentimes, like you need to have a research experience in the previous field. Like I talked about my story, I had a research experience in bacteriology. I've never done anything on fungi in my life until I got to Korea. And I spent 3 months before I could, really fit into the lab, which makes a lot of sense. So you have to be flexible, believe in what you know already, drive your story with passion. The fact that you are innovative, you are open to learn new things, put them in your story. And and before you know, they might even need the knowledge that you have in ruminants, ruminants animal to apply to animal genetics and a lot of other things. So don't just belittle yourself. Focus on the good side of it. Focus on what you want to learn and focus on the fact that you have a knowledge you're bringing along to add to the group or to the lab.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So I think for now, I'm just gonna go back to YouTube and we're just gonna close this session very soon. I noticed the science and engineering have the most of the scholarships. There are options for fully funded scholarship for masters in communication. Oh yeah, I'm sure several schools in Canada offers masters in communication, but you need a strong application for that. There's no school in Canada that will not offer masters in communication, and they have funding. So you may have to look out for those schools, and even for science and engineering, the funding is still competitive. Yeah, so you need to kind of look out for schools, and also you don't have to limit your search to Canada alone. Samzi, okay, as a mining engineering student who is advanced to petroleum engineering, I have no passion for teaching or lecturing. It's all about working in the industry. I love to read about and learn, however, so doing a PhD is the problem. So my question is it advisable to go for a master's or PhD or just master's to talk about funding for scholarship case study in the US? There are a few scholarships for mining in the US. I know Missouri University or University of Missouri. I know of someone that got a fully funded scholarship for masters. I mean, my brother Shane Jai knows the person. So I think okay, so I think you probably need to look out for schools that offer such scholarships. Yeah, PhD might be hard to get, but I mean, you don't have, you said you don't have a passion for teaching. You're told about working in the industry. Why do you want to go do a PhD? So PhD is like, you need energy to keep you focused, the drive. It's not easy. Dr. Peter Amadi, congratulations. I was offered a visiting professorial positions and postdoc in 2 different units in Canada. Anything to consider while deciding between both? Well, I don't know. I think this is a personal question. A visiting professorial position and a postdoc. Postdoc and visiting professor is different. So I don't know. If you want to go for professorial position, I'm sure the pay will be different. And also maybe you want to consider the cost of living of the particular province you are going to in Canada. I have a question. May I allow to ask by voice? Here. Can your head of department at work write a recommendation letter for you? Yes, your head of department can write a letter of recommendation for you. In most cases, if your letter of recommendation is 3, at least 2 should be from academics and the other one can be professional. Jacinta, I'm gonna give you the mic. Jacinta, go ahead and ask your question first.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Hi.
Yeah, I'm Jacinta from Nigeria. So what I'm asking, I have asked my question before about the test for USA. I'm trying to apply for PhD, and I have a master's already in clinical pharmacy and biopharmacy from Unilag, and my undergraduate was on pharmacy too. So, but my area of interest is pharmaceutical outcomes and patient safety. I've seen some schools. Example is Florida School of University of Florida College of Pharmacy, but they are requiring for GRA, TOEFL, and IELTS. So I've not sent in my application because I just got to know about scholarships now. As now my eye just opened for scholarships. So although they say that they ended in 1st of December, but I can still send in my application because they review till April. But I'm asking which particular exam can I write that will give me a competitive edge?
Okay, I think I'm just going to give the floor to Shinajai to go first before I contribute. Yeah. Hey, Doc, I hope you're still there. Okay. Hey, Doc, are you there? Well, like I said.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. I was muted, so I couldn't speak. So for Jacinta, please, one of the things I always tell people is that IELTS or TOEFL, they are not alternatives to GRE. They are different exams entirely. While IELTS could be an alternative to TOEFL, or TOEFL could be an alternative to IELTS, they serve different purposes. So let me explain briefly. For example, in Nigeria, before we can gain admission to the university, we are asked to write JAM. So that is how GRE looks like. So GRE is written by both local and international students. So it doesn't matter whether you are from Singapore or you're from Dayton, Ohio, you're expected to write GRE. But for TOEFL or IELTS, this is specifically, created for international students to be sure that they have proficiency in English. So that's how I'm going to put it. So, so it's not either GRE or IELTS. So it could be either IELTS or TOEFL. So, but let me put it in a better perspective. So the best thing you can do is to reach out to the university and ask them about, English test waiver, especially with the fact that Nigeria, we are an English speaking country. Sometimes most of these countries don't want to recognize that. They still want to make money from us. But you still want to tell them that, your education was actually done in English, and you can ask the registrar of university to write a letter attesting to that. So, but if there's anything I'm going to say, when push comes to shove, and there's an exam I'm going to ask you to write, it's going to be GRE. Because with GRE, for example, I remember when I did GRE, they had to waive other exams for me. But I don't want you to mix these things up. They are not alternatives. GRE and English test, they are not alternatives. They serve different purposes. So GRE could be, is expected from both local and international students. Why? As international students, we are expected to submit, an English test proficiency. I hope that answers your question. Please, So yeah, I know many people had that experience. When you write GRE, most times they will waive every other thing for you because GRE seems to be kind of superior. But if you can get a school, maybe you're looking at the cost. So if you can get a school where GRE is very difficult to pass anyway, so I understand the fear. I have the fear from 2014, so I know how people feel. I was held down by the fear of not passing GRE from 2014. I'm very sincere about that. Till 2017, that I eventually took it, and I passed. So please, if there's any exam that you want to commit yourself to and you're willing to write, maybe the school is asking that you write both, please prioritize GRE because you can reach out to some schools and they will say, never mind, your GRE is going to surface for the English because GRE has an English component. I hope this explains it.
Thank you so much, bro. That's all. I think that answers it all. I mean, I didn't want to just go through that route again because I've talked about it. Betel Uzaku completed masters 5 years ago in Nigeria. What is the influence of the age of one's masters for PhD admission? Have issues with academic recommendation later, lost touch with master supervisor. Okay, one, I should address it. 5 years of masters. If I'm a PI, most PI would want to ask, what have you been doing for the last 5 years? So if you've been doing something that is related to your field of interest, it's fine. If you're not, then it's a big deal. I accept in cases you really want to upskill yourself or you want to be smart about it. But again, it's very important to be truthful. Secondly, you talked about, the age of your masters. I've talked about that. Sometimes it doesn't really matter, especially if you're working in your area of interest. But if you did a master's in microbiology 5 years ago and you've been working as a real estate advisor, there's no way you can say you've been working in your area of interest in the last 5 years, which is obvious that you've lost touch with your area of interest. Then you have issues with the academic recommendation letter, lost touch with your master supervisor. If you are interested in academics, like you want to do a PhD, there is no way that they would evaluate you without your supervisor's recommendation. So if you've lost touch, please go and find it where that touch has been lost. Go and find it. I'm making it as a joke. Call them, go to them, talk to them. Like you need this, like your life depends on it. You can't get a recommendation letter from a random person. So it's important. I mean, for me, my recommendation letter comes from a master's, PhD, and bachelor supervisor, because those are the people that can comment on the thesis I did undergrad, my master's thesis, my PhD thesis. It's very important. There's nothing you can do without. So please get a way to connect with them and find the missing link. Good day, Dr. Miwa. My undergrad thesis is not related to my field of interest. What should I do with regards to when drafting my SOP? I've talked about this. If your undergrad it's not related, this is difficult for people from non-STEM to STEM. But if you're within STEM, you did your first degree in let's say microbiology, your second degree, you want to do something related to computational biology. So you have to find a connection. But if the connection is not there, an example is someone that wrote me recently. He did his first degree in building tech and he's applying for computer science position and he didn't get in. Yeah, because when they went through the transcript, they didn't see anything related to computer science. They were all building technology, philosophy of science. So there's no way the admission body can grade you very well. So if it takes you to do short courses online, probably top program or something like that, you may want to look at how related or how far away those interests are. But if it's still within biological science, you have a first degree in microbiology, you want to do your master's in biochemistry, it's still with the same, concept which you can connect together. But if it's far away from one another, I know someone that did microbiology is currently doing software engineering in Switzerland because he had a work experience in, building softwares and stuff like that. So they might give exceptional cases, but again, you need to really work on yourself to see how to connect those three. Why are you giving up on your first area of interest to the new area of interest? Is there a connection? So those are the things you have to leverage in. Saddam Adebayo. Annie, I'm going to give you the go ahead, then I'll call on Saddam Adebayo next. Hi, Saddam, go ahead, please. Hani, go ahead, sorry. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to ask a question. Um, if you have a master's, let's say in microbiology, and you don't want to continue with research, but you want to do the same you want to do another master's in the same field in another country, what's the possibility of getting in?
Yeah, the possibility is that if you are thinking of a top master's in microbiology or something that you don't want to do research, you can look at the Chevening scholarship. You can use as a Commonwealth scholarship, which most of them are 1 year of top masters. But if you're going to the UK to do a top master's, you might want to self-fund. But in most cases, you have funding for research masters compared to like top masters. So the possibility is there. The question is, what do you really want to do? Do you want to go into public health? Do you want to go into food security? Do you want to go into food safety? You don't have to work in the lab. You just need to do data, work on data. I mean, yeah, the possibility is there. You just need to identify what you want to do and the school where you want to apply to.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm just gonna thank the last person for today. So Dan Adebayo, you can unmute.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor, for the opportunity. I'm very grateful. I'll just go straight to my questions. Number one, I study BSc chemistry, and I'm very much interested in the natural product, the drug discovery aspect. So when I finish my first degree, I make sure I attach myself with my undergraduate supervisor, who happens to graduate from Japan as a natural product chemist. So I was with him, I was with his research team. We were doing researches, and I gained valuable experience and publications from there. From there, I moved to ABU, Faculty of Pharmacy, Department of Pharmaceutical and Medicinal Chemistry, where I gained tremendous experience on the natural product drug discovery. And I conducted my MSc research in that particular area with publications too. So recently, during our coursework, we have a new lecturer that taught us about computational chemistry of the drug discovery, the molecular docking, the QIMSA, the aspect. So at the end of the day, we learned it, we understood it. So I'm having, my first issue is how to incorporate all this experience. I have the theoretical experience and the practical experience also, because we have computational labs. My first issue is how to incorporate all this into my CV, because also I have collaborative experience a lot, whereby my fellow colleagues do in their research. I do have collaborations with them within the department, within the different faculties and other schools. So I'm having issues on how to incorporate all this experience in my CV. Do I put the research experience as collaborative experience because I have publications to back it up? That's my first question. My second question is, I finished my master's, my external defense in September last year, and I put in for PhDs in schools in USA. I shoot my code emails using your format. A lot of them replied me, and I've applied to like 6 different schools. So I felt like, what do I need to do while waiting for a decision? Do I need to stay back? Do I need to still continue contacting them? Or what do I need to do? Then thirdly is some of them, I I wrote to their graduate coordinator for all these TOEFL. They requested that I should collect a letter from my school stating that my degree was in English language. I did that. Does this have any effect with my application decision compared to those that wrote TOEFL?
Okay, the number one thing, well, I don't know why you asked the first question, because you said you found professors already which accepted you, and having your research experience in your CV, you don't have to like, oh, fine, you can put collaborative work, but at this level, I don't think, I mean, my CV format is there, so you can see it, you can, tailor your CV, put in your expertise. I mean, as long as you have them, you can defend them, just put it on your CV. So, I mean, collaborative work is fine. You can put like, you collaborated with so to investigate this, but you don't want to use collaborated over and over. So own the research experience that you have since you did a part of the work. So own it. And then secondly, you talked about what you need to do at this time. It's a waiting period. I understand it's like tensed. You want to check your emails every time to see the next emails that comes in to say, oh, you've been accepted to grad school. You can engage yourself in doing a lot of things, maybe reading research papers. If any of those professors, if you're sure there's any of those professors that wants you, you can talk to them, you can attend their lab meetings or webinars or networking, or ask them, you can even do a review paper together. And thirdly, about TOEFL, if the school has said they've waived TOEFL, yeah, we want to trust them that they will not base the evaluation. It won't work against you. But in most cases, I always advise people, if you have the resources, write TOEFL, write IELTS, because it comes to the fact that in most times there is a tie. Like they don't even know what to use to decide. And they say, okay, this person has TOEFL. And in most schools in the US, they also consider people with TOEFL more for graduate assistant position or TA positions. So waiver is fine, like Oluwaseun Ajayi said. It's not always like a one thing to just go in there, like, you know, because you think they've waived it, everybody is given a chance. Yes, but still there is always something that makes you unique from other people. Okay, let me shock you. When I was applying to China, I submitted my LTS score. It makes no sense, right? But it shows the fact that apart from being from Nigeria, I also have an English proficiency. And when I was applying for my position in Germany, and when I was registering as a PhD student, I remember them asking me if I have English proficiency test results. I wasn't just like, okay, why should I push it that I'm from Nigeria? I already have the test score, and I gave it to them, and that silenced it. So please, I always advise people, waiver is really fine. It's not everybody that can afford it, but if you can afford it, I know people that during their NYC, they always use the Alawis to write exams, GRE, IELTS. So just pray you get in. One thing, you've done your part, just focus on God, and I pray the grace of God speaks for you.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. So the last person is James Cheme. I think Mison's James, hi.
Hello, good
Hi.
evening, sir.
James, hi.
Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, my question has already been answered already, but I was the one that shared on what's called YouTube that my school is
oh yeah, James.
Currently,
in fact, I just searched you on LinkedIn to check for the name of your school. Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to talk to those people that are interested.
Okay.
So the application started that December into what's it called to end in February.
Okay.
So the good thing about the school is that it's the country itself, they speak Russian and Kazakh, but in the school we are taught in English.
Wow.
And I think our grading system is that of the UK or thereabout, so it's kind of very tough. But I believe we are Nigerians now. We are Benny. We have no book. So the thing is that during the application, there's no what's it called TOEFL, GRE or whatever. You only use a letter of proficiency. That you can get that from your school.
Okay.
So the only thing you need is just 2 referees, a good CV, a good SOP, and letter of proficiency. So
okay,
and that's just it. And yes, and we do interview too. So we have engineering courses, those in medicals, and we also have a MBA here. But that MBA is pretty hard getting into that one. But those in engineering and public health.
Okay.
I have friends in public health that got the scholarship, and I think we're like 4 of us, 5 of us in civil engineering currently doing it here. So we have high success rate of getting it. But the truth, the thing about it is that the school is a bit, the country is a bit, people like when they hear the name, they'll be like, which country is this? So it's Kazakhstan, it's between Russia
I know
and China. So for those that don't know, and China. So the competition gets higher every year because more people get to know about the school. So I would advise people to try their luck and everything, because like I said earlier, I think there was a space I attended, I think last 2 days ago or yesterday. I told people that there are many rules that leads to the market.
Definitely.
So if you are trying UK, China, and
it's not working,
and it's not working, So you can also try this. And by God's grace, I'm in my first year. So by God's grace, I'm planning on going for my what's called PhD after here. And I'm not even looking at Canada also. I'm looking at maybe Germany also. The fact is that let's keep moving. Let's just keep moving.
Yeah. In fact, I have someone that had his PhD. I'm sure Nigeria also know. Had his master's in Russia. He's currently on his PhD in the US.
So the only disadvantage we have here is just the language barrier. But if you are here for the academics, you surely get it. But the only the only challenge here is that it's tough. I'll not lie to you, it's tough.
Everywhere is tough, bro.
And the scholarship here, if they say what's it called a CGPA that you need to get to keep your stipends. So if you are coming here, you know that there's a what's it called? There's that challenge, or I don't know if it's a challenge or something there that you need to do well to keep here. So that's just it. And those asking for my what's it called Twitter and his WDD_Cheme. I think I posted it already. So if you have questions and everything, I'll be willing to answer your questions. And Doc, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate it. Like I said, this year, please go for the funding. Samuel Shijuade also said he's currently on a scholarship in a school in Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences in India. People asking, why India? I don't want to go to India. We have a brother that's currently in Yale that did his master's in India. So it's like, just go get the expertise. You need them on your CV. Those are the things you need to sell yourself. So for the name of the school, it's already in the chat box. You can also connect with James. He's on LinkedIn, he's on Twitter. You can check his Twitter page and you can, shoot your shot. And getting fully funded. What else do you need? Just go there. A lot of people always think about, post, masters or post PhD, but I always emphasize, get the expertise first. Other openings will definitely come. Once you get the expertise, they'll look for you. But if you don't have the expertise and you just trust in fate, sometimes it doesn't work that way. Yeah. Dari Samuel, hi.
Hi, sir.
Yeah,
good evening, sir.
Please. Good evening.
Yeah, concerning the school the guy was talking about, yeah, I received a message from one of their, I don't know whether it's a promoter or something. They messaged me on LinkedIn. They said my profile match what they require in their school.
Okay.
So I'm now thinking of maybe I should just apply for it. I don't know whether what they're saying is real or is something, I don't know much about it. But I want to ask how much is the application fee? Because I know that's the major barrier in Nigeria.
I know.
Some of us are earning money that is lower than 50,000 naira. So that's what I want to ask the guys, sir.
Okay, I think I'm going to give the floor to James. So James, Dara is asking how much is the application fee?
Okay, guys, there's no application fee.
Oh.
And the good thing about this is that I just learned that when I even got the scholarship that you can apply for 2 different programs. But when you're applying for 2 different programs, it simply means that you need to have 2 different SOPs. And your referee
Do you need a supervisor?
No, I didn't requested for a supervisor, but what I did was that I went to the school website. I'm a civil engineering. So I went to the school website and I just glanced through the staff there, and I saw 2 professors that my interests aligned with that of their interests. So I included their names in my SOP, stating that I would love to work with them when I get to the school. So I guess that gave me an edge over others. So there's no application fee, and there's no TOEFL or anything. All you just need is just your letter of proficiency, and that's all.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. I think that's clear for Dari, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess you should shoot an email or just go apply to the school. Someone is say we will bombard this school. I just checked public policy and it's the same grant I'm seeing first. I beg, enter put it before Nigeria gets the story out there. So just please apply widely. India, Kazakhstan or something, Ukraine, Russia, and people ask me, okay, they're looking for medicine and surgery funding. I always encourage Ukraine, which is a bit cheaper for medicine and surgery and a host of other things. Paul will be the last person I will entertain question from today. Hi, Paul. Before we close the session.
Hello, doctor.
Hi.
I don't know if you still remember me, but I usually disturb your space on YouTube whenever you are there on other scholars YouTube live. Always tag you, and all that. I was the person who talked about the bombard and all that.
Oh.
Well, what I want to say is this. I also mentioned that information is agbára.
Yeah, it's true.
Information is power. Information is power. I always wake up to your post and to other scholars' posts. And what I would like to say is, at the wake of this 2022, as we have just entered this 2022, I want to advise other people looking for scholarship. I have not received any scholarships thus far, but then what I would like to say is this: like we are just learning from James about Rajasthan or what, and look,
these scholarships are there.
Stopping him. I was stopping him to give me the name of the school. Some of us we like to be spoon-fed. Like some persons were just asking questions that are irrelevant. Look, just give me the name of the school. Let me do my research. Then if I'm confused about one or two things, at least the kind of question I'm asking you, you feel that, oh, this person he or she has done his or her research, and you will be willing to assist the person. And I know that this is the pain many of you pass through whenever irrelevant questions come your way. I checked the public policy. I just say, let me check any course. And the first thing I saw was the grants. And I'm very surprised. So what I would like to say is to everyone is Happy New Year, and thank you so much, doctors in the house, for these informations to keep bombarding us. My Twitter, in fact, as I'm even talking to you now, I'm still seeing some other tweets. Please follow them, follow. If you remember, doctor, I always say follow for follow. I go follow the other scholarship, So let us continue and say, look, more is it more grace or more powers, more blessings, more graces to your elbows.
Amen. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank
you so much. So please, like I said this year, please go for the funding. You don't want to wait for it. Go for the funding. Just shoot your shot. I would also want to talk to you from any of the part of the world you have this time next year. And you also one thing I would always say is Precious is here. He got 3 fully funded scholarship for PhD in Europe. In North America, 2 in Canada. In fact, one of the schools was begging him to take up the offer. Where did he go his master's? Turkey. So it's when you focus so much fixative on the US and Canada, then the rejection comes in. It comes to the fact that you feel like you don't even merit those offers, but inside you are like a star. You just want to unleash your potentials, and it might take you to go to Thailand. It might take you to go to Taiwan. Yeah, Shin Wajai had his master's in Jamaica. It might take you to go to Barcelona. It might take you to, I have a friend, someone that I met on ResearchGate last year. He wrote me, he was doing his master's in Germany. And I went through his code email. I shared my CV with him. And last week he wrote me on Slack channel, the Canadian Black Scientists Network, Slack channel, hey bro, do you remember you reviewed my CV on ResearchGate? I want to stay, I'm currently in Canada for PhD. I was like, wow. So sometimes when you ask questions, we don't know everything. If someone is asking the difference between research statement and the motivation letter, those things are on Google. But oftentimes we always look for validation because you feel this person is in a better position. But you should also understand they are human. And in most cases, people also feel like, okay, open your DM, I want to talk to you, I have questions. But when you open the DM, It's the same question. How do I get fully funded scholarship? Like, these are the things that are already on Twitter, already on YouTube. If you go to like Google it, you see list of things you need to do to have competitive application. I've made several videos, I've made several posts. Okay, your SOP must be top notch, your CV, remove date of birth, local government of origin, number of children, number of wives. People still send CV to you. Like, you still see all those things. So this year, I will hold on to my brother's word, Shane Majai. Be intentional, do the work. We are here to meet you at the middle point. I'm sorry, I have 24 hours just like any other person. I may not be able to mentor everyone. Okay, we have 50 slots for Scholarship Cafe. Now we have over 250 applications, which we have to prune. And I have to talk to 50 people for the rest of the year. Like, hopefully those 50 people can also, reciprocate this to other people next year. So that is just the way to build a community. Like, we are selfless. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you for James giving us information about scholarships, which I'll probably put on Twitter after. There are several opportunities out there. If you know them, even if they're not useful for you, please push it out there for other people to benefit. So thank you so much for everyone that came today, and I really appreciate this, and we'll be doing this once in a while as well. I wish you guys all the best in 2022. Again, if you're watching me on YouTube, if I haven't answered your questions, you can engage me on Twitter. It's overwhelming out there, I know. You can also shoot me an email in my private via my private website. Scholarships are there in the year. DAD is there, Chevney is there, Commonwealth is there, Commonwealth Share is there. Erasmus is currently on, KGSP will open next month, and so is there. There are several scholarships out there which you can benefit, and you don't have to pay people for information. There are several resources out there which all you need is internet connection and being intentional. And I wish you all the best. And the next time we meet,